Hello, everyone. We continue with our series, Fear Not. And today's topic is Fear Not, Powerful Armies. And you might not be fighting armies, but we fight obstacles that are powerful in our lives. And I want to start by telling you that perception, I learned that perception is the interpretation of reality. How we're going to interpret a particular situation that happens in our lives. And I learned that when you have a particular belief, you interpret different. The same situation that somebody else might interpret in a negative way, you might be able to interpret it in a positive way, just because you have your perception glasses on. I don't know if you remember, I think it was in the 80s and 90s, these 3D pictures came along that you had to focus your eyes, and all of a sudden you saw a whole different reality emerge from the picture. I remember I used to be a youth leader at that time. And for my birthday, the youth of the church brought me this huge picture as a birthday present. And I couldn't see what they were seeing. So I stayed there for hours, crossing my eyes and doing all kinds of things until I was able to see it. And it was so beautiful. It was completely different what emerged from the picture than what I could see at first sight. Well, you know, we always have two sides of reality. The one that we see with our eyes and the one we see with our spiritual eyes, and that's usually called faith and believing. Today we're going to study a story that makes this very clear. So please come with me to the second book of Kings, chapter 6. There is a prophet in the land. His name is Elisha. And there is an enemy of Israel, the king of Aram, that is trying to fight Israel all the time. And when he makes plans to come and fight, the prophet tells the king of Israel, the king of Aram is coming, and so he's always ready. So one day the king of Aram said, what's going on? How come the king of Israel always knows when we're coming? And I'm going to read on 2 Kings 6, verse 11. The heart of the king of Aram was enraged over this thing. And he called his servants and said to them, will you tell me which of us is for the king of Israel? Is there a mole in our group? How come the king of Israel always knows when we're coming? And one of his servants, verse 12, said, no, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. This prophet is like a fly on your wall. No matter what you say, what you do, he knows. And so he lets the king of Israel know. That's why he's always ready. So the king of Aram said, verse 13, go and see where he is, this prophet, and that I may send and take him. And it was said to him, behold, he's in Dothan. And he sent horses and chariots and a great army there. And they came by night and surrounded the city. I think this is such a paradox, because if this was a prophet that always knew what was coming, how could the king of Aram say, oh, okay, I know, I'm going to get him, and he's not going to know I'm coming? What a paradox, right? A prophetic paradox. And when they were sleeping, the whole army surrounded the city where the prophet was. So in the morning, when they woke up, the attendant of the prophet looks out the window and he sees this army that is completely surrounding them, right? And verse 15, this is 2 Kings 6:15. Now, when the attendant of the man of God had risen early and gone out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was circling the city. And his servant said to him, alas, my master, what shall we do? What shall we do? We are surrounded by powerful armies. What are we going to do? Maybe today you are feeling that way, that your eyes see obstacles, enemies, armies against you, and you're saying, we can't do anything about this. What are we going to do? And this is where the prophet's words might be exactly what you need today. The prophet says to his servant, verse 16, he answered, do not fear. That's our series. Fear not. Do not fear. For those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And I imagine the attendant saying, okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's just 2, 1, and 1, 2. There's no more than 2. It's just us. And the prophet said, no, there's a lot more with us than with them. And then he prayed. The prophet prayed. Verse 17, Elisha prayed and said, "Oh Lord, I pray, open his eyes." This is his other eyes, his eyes of faith, that he could see the spiritual realities. He's asking for a bridge to the spiritual reality so that he could actually see it. And Elisha prayed and said, "Oh Lord," verse 17, "I pray, open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. I like to visualize this because, many times we feel surrounded by circumstances, and they felt surrounded by circumstances. The attendant did. Elisha already knew this. He didn't even need to see it. He believed it so much that he didn't even need to see it. But imagine this. They're surrounded, completely surrounded. It's just 2 of them, the prophet and the attendant, and the attendant and the prophet and the prophet and the attendant. That's it. They're surrounded by an army. And the prophet says, no, the ones that are with us are more than the ones that are with them. And then he prays that for a moment his servant would be able to see how the Lord of hosts and all the angels were surrounding them, and that they were a much more powerful army. So this looks very fearful, doesn't it? But when you put the second reality, I love this, of all these angels around them, now it looks completely different, doesn't it? Because now it's no longer this army that was there. It's all this other reality that is surrounding them. That, of course, now it looks much better, doesn't it? Because the army of the Lord of hosts is around them. After this prayer, Elisha will pray that the soldiers will be blinded, and they are, and he leads them to Samaria. And then the king of Israel says, "What shall I do? Shall I kill them? Shall I kill them?" And he said, "No, don't kill them. This is from the Lord. So now you're going to do a great feast for them." This is verse 23. He prepared a great feast for these soldiers. And when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. This truth has been with me for a long time. Sometimes I feel surrounded by obstacles and powerful armies. And I remember a verse from my childhood, Psalm 34:7, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and defends them." We always have this second reality around us. Those who are with us are many more than those that are against us. And see, this is important to remember because salvation always also works like this. Not only our daily battles, the things that we face, but salvation works this way. You need to look at it through the eyes of faith and be sure of the things you don't see, but that God has told you. Salvation says, "He who has the Son has life." So be sure of this. Put your glasses on. Be sure of your salvation. Remember, faith, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 says, faith is the certainty of things we don't see. So you can be certain of them because there's this second reality that God offers us both for our salvation and our daily battles. Fear not, powerful armies.